Good afternoon, all of you. I hope I'm clearly visible and audible to all of you. Right. So let's begin with today's session. I welcome you to this session. Today we are going to talk about why grammar is important, and I'm going to show you this not just through some theory that I'm going to be talking about, but through some examples, through some questions. Okay, so that is going to be the agenda for today. Hello, Varun. Good noon. Right. So CAT, SNAP, and other MBA exams. Now, why is grammar important for CAT? Is Are grammar questions asked in CAT? Hello, Priya. How are you? Yes. Are grammar questions asked in CAT? Hi, Apurva. Good noon. Okay. So let me show you why grammar is important for CAT. And if you are thinking that grammar questions are not asked in CAT, you are right. Okay, but before we proceed, there's an important announcement. We have launched an all India mock. It will be live from 9th to 18th, 9th September to 18th September, right? And this will help you because students from all over India will be taking it. Okay, so this is not just confined to a certain set of students. Students from all over India are going to be taking it. So it's good to know where you stand in relation to all of them. It's good to identify a strategy for yourself. And in fact, later on, we'll show you not just the solutions, but a mock attempt by our experts that, how in those 40 minutes you could have attempted this section that way. So question wise video solutions will be there, mock attempts will be there. So I think it's a good chance for you to see what is your current level of preparation, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. So do take this mock. All right. Hello, Sneha. Good noon. Right. So I was asking you, why is grammar important for CAT, even though no direct questions on grammar are asked in CAT. So it helps in better comprehension of RC passages, right? So a lot of times, through grammar, you can understand what the author's intention behind something is. To give you a very simple example, if the author says, uh, let's say the author is describing a current situation that rains and floods in Bangalore. Let's talk about that, right? So there are heavy floods in Bangalore right now caused by a deluge, caused by excessive heavy rain, right? So now the author says this will have long-term repercussions for the infrastructure. Okay, repercussions for Bangalore's infrastructure, right? So now this will have. Now, on the other hand, if the author says this could have, okay, this could have. So you see, just by changing a modal here, just by changing a modal verb here, I have changed the intention of my sentence. Isn't it? That's why, for your inference questions, we tell you that your inference cannot be very definitive, very extreme in nature unless and until the details given in the passage are extreme in nature. So it will help you in comprehending your RC passages better. In case you do not know what the functions of various words such as however, nonetheless are, how are they different from but? See, such a nuanced thing. But and nevertheless, or but and however, they are not the same. So what are the nuanced differences between the two? In case you know this, then it will be helpful for you in comprehending your RC passages much, much more smoothly. Right? Okay, so just to tell you the difference between but and nevertheless, but means a direct contradiction. Okay, it's a direct contradiction. Whereas when I say however or when I say nevertheless, I am not completely destroying my opponent's point. Okay, I am just diluting it a little. Okay, so for instance, if I say this practice was followed many years ago, Sati Pratha was followed many years ago, but now this practice is not followed. So a direct contradiction that earlier it was followed, now it is not followed, right? Then on the other hand, if I say drinking a lot of tea can be harmful for your health, However, 1 cup a day is fine. However, 1 cup a day is fine. So I am not completely contradicting my earlier statement. See, I still maintain that drinking a lot of tea can be harmful for your health, but I'm diluting it a little. That however, 1 cup a tea is okay. So this is the difference between but and however. These are adverbial conjunctions only, right? These are conjunctions that are used to compare, contrast two sentences. So if you know your grammar well, it will help you in your RC passages also. And we're not just saying it in a theoretical sense, but in a very, very practical sense. Right? So Varun is saying in CAT, while taking mocks, I only found questions on, yes, RC passages and parajumbles and parasummary. You are absolutely correct. No direct questions are asked on grammar in CAT now. They were asked till 2014. Okay, so it's been some years. Till 2014, if you open your previous year papers, you will find error spotting, sentence correction, correct, incorrect usage. You will find plenty of such questions, right? That is why I say that even for your non-cat exams, when you're practicing, when you want grammar questions for your non-cat exams, you can refer to your early cat papers. Till 2014, you will find grammar questions in cat papers also. Okay, so I hope this is clear to everybody. Now let's proceed. Good afternoon, Rutuja. Why is grammar important for other management entrance tests? This you already know. They are asked, okay? They are asked directly in all your non-CAT MBA entrance exams, okay? Be it IFT, NMAT, ZAT, okay? Even ZAT asks some grammar questions. You can open previous year papers and find out. TISNET, SNAP. So a lot of you must be preparing for SNAP also. So SNAP is oriented towards grammar. In fact, out of the 15 questions in SNAP, usually, sometimes, for instance, in last year's plot 3, the spread was like this: 7 on vocabulary, 7 on grammar, and just 1 question on parajumble. That's how it was for SNAP. Okay. MyCat, in case some of you are interested in MICA, Mudra Institute of Communications. So there also, MyCat also asks grammar questions. CMAT, MACT, some of you have already taken them. So all your non-CAT exams out there, they do ask grammar questions. Okay. And they can be asked in many forms. So there can be error spotting, sentence correction, correct, incorrect usage. This actually is a combination of vocabulary and grammar. Correct, incorrect usage. If I'm asking you correct, incorrect usage of a word, sometimes it becomes a combination of vocabulary and grammar. Sometimes it could be based purely on grammar, right? And of course, your ubiquitous fill in the blanks, they are everywhere. They're there in vocabulary, they're there in grammar, right? So this is why grammar is important for you in a very immediate sense, not even in a long term sense, right? Hope this is clear and now you start taking grammar seriously. So what are the things that you have to keep in mind while solving your grammar questions and in general while learning grammar rules also? Knowing a rule does not necessarily mean knowing its application. So for instance, a student might tell me that, in third person, a singular subject takes a singular verb and a plural subject takes a plural verb. Absolutely correct. But then, if I ask this student a question and I say, it is you who has committed this crime, right? So now I ask the student if this sentence is correct or not. Tell me, you guys tell me first of all, is this correct? So subject verb agreement says that for the third person, which is he, she, it, okay, of course in the plural it is different. So for the third person singular, it has to take a singular verb. Okay, it has to take a singular verb. So it can't take are, it can take is only, right? Singular verb. Yes, come on, what has happened, guys? So many of you in the session. Why is nobody responding? Tell me, is this sentence correct? First of all, there is no third person present here, right? No third person present here. We have the second person. So in the second person, you tell me, you has committed the crime. Is it correct? You has committed the crime. Either I replace this and I say it is he who has committed the crime, or it is she who has committed the crime. Either I replace this, or I replace this here, because with you I cannot use has. With you I have to use have. Okay. With the second person, we always use the plural verb. Have you observed this? With the second person, which is you, we always use the plural verb. We cannot use is. We use are. We use have, not has. So, see, this was the application of this rule. While it is such a simple rule that in the third person, singular subject, singular verb, plural subject, plural verb, you should know about the first and the second person also. And intuitively, you do know about the second person. But when it comes to application, because sometimes we are speed reading, sometimes we are not paying enough attention, we are not concentrating, we skip through this part that this is incorrect, right? So I hope this is clear to everybody. What I'm trying to say, that knowing a rule does not necessarily mean knowing its application. Intuitively, you know that with you we use have, but when I give it to you in the form of a question, some of you just skip it, some of you just ignore it. So read the whole sentence, not just the parts of the various sentence that is given to you. Slow down a bit. In grammar questions, don't speed read, because when you speed read in grammar, you tend to miss the flaws. Ultimately, in grammar, you have to spot the flaws, right? You have to find out the correct usage. So don't speed read through your grammar questions. That would be my suggestion. The correct option should make logical sense. That is always there, right? So as we proceed and we attempt more and more questions, this will become clearer to you. What I mean by this point. The correct option should not appear to be illogical, that I'm combining past with the future unnecessarily. That shouldn't happen. And always read the directions carefully. A lot of times students mark the incorrect. So for instance, if the question asks them that find out which of the options are incorrect, which of the sentences are incorrect, they would rather choose the ones that are correct, because they haven't read the directions carefully. So always read the directions carefully, okay? And sometimes you may get very different questions even in grammar. So for instance, MACT makes these unique combinations out of grammar questions, right? So read and follow the directions to the T. Okay. Now, hope this is clear, this part, this bit, that we need to learn the application, right? And this is what I'm going to be talking about for the rest of the session, the application of various concepts. So here's a spotting the error question, and this is your sentence. You have to tell me whether A, B, C, or D is the answer. Yes. So Zubeda, it's an interesting question. Actually, 70% of our grammar questions, they can be solved through this sense, through this intuition that we have. It is for the other 30%, which tend to be relatively moderate to difficult grammar questions, that we need to learn the rules. Okay, so as a beginning point, I would always suggest that you start from parts of speech. Go through various parts of speech. See how nouns are used. What are countable and uncountable nouns? Which nouns have a plural, which nouns are the same even when we use them as plural. So these basic things about nouns. Then pronouns. So basically go through all the parts of speech first. Then come your relatively advanced concepts like subject verb agreement, right? New concepts, this you may not be aware of, modifiers and parallelism. You may not have read this in your junior classes. So then come these concepts. Okay. So parts of speech, subject verb agreement, modifiers and parallelism, and parts of speech very, very thoroughly. So if you learn verbs, learn tenses also. Tenses are nothing but a property of verbs. Right. So very thoroughly. I think these are the main areas in grammar that are relevant for you. Okay. All right. C is what you say instead of with, can come. Instead of, with can come. With should come actually. So I've got three responses and all three of you are correct. C is erroneous here. Okay. Made of is incorrect. Now, it's a very interesting point here, and actually, it's again a combination of grammar and vocabulary both. These are what we call phrasal verbs: made of, made from, then made out of, made with, right? So, when I say something is made of something, so if I say this table is made of wood, this table is made of wood, that means it is composed of. That is the basic material that has been used. Okay, the basic material that has been used, or this in terms of, in a metaphorical sense, when I'm talking about a person, what are you made of? Show them what you're made of, right? So your basic qualities, basic materials, or your basic qualities. That is what we are discussing when we say made of. Here, on the other hand, the focus is not on the basic qualities or the basic material substance. It's on the ingredients: homemade butter, sugar, and cream. So when we talk about the ingredients, the better phrasal verb to use is made with. Okay, and it's usually used to talk about the ingredients of food and drink. So made with homemade butter, sugar, and cream. Okay, made from. So when we talk about manufacture, the process of manufacture of something, that's when we say made from. So for instance, I can say plastic is made from oil. Plastic is made from oil. Paper is made from the bark of a tree. Right. So I'm focusing on the process of manufacture here. Okay. Made out of. When you transform something into something unexpected. Okay. When you transform something into something unexpected. So for instance, best out of waste. Best out of. So things made out of waste. She made a dinosaur out of all the newspaper waste that she had at home. Or she made a candle holder out of newspaper cuttings. So made out of is to transform one thing into something unexpected. And how did I come to know all of this? One is through reading. So you notice things. So best out of waste. Okay, you notice things when you read. Secondly, there is this a very good link that I found. Cambridge Dictionary actually gives the distinction between all of these: made from, made of, made out of, made with. Right? So that helped me. C is the answer here. Correct, Apurva. Recycling could be a case when we use made out of. Correct, correct. Okay, so you guys seem passive today. I don't know what's wrong. Yes, grammar is supposed to be interesting, isn't it? So I want more responses from you. Anushka, Rutuja, some of you, Varun. Okay, Varun has been responding. All right. Okay, more responses. So let's have a look at this question. Now, this sentence has been divided into fragments. You have to identify the erroneous part. Tell me. Yes. Again, a different concept. So my effort is always to bring different concepts, right? Because the usual concepts, countable, uncountable nouns, as I talked about, these you will learn when you read some grammar book or when you solve questions on grammar. But there are certain concepts that lie, let's say, for instance, the previous one lay on the periphery of vocabulary and grammar. So such concepts I try to discuss with you. So Priya says B, stroke via question mark. Anushka says B. Videep also says B. So what is the error in B? Okay, stroke says D. All right. B, C, D. And there seems to be a competition. No, there seems to be a majority of B here. Right. Let's have a look. You did not wait for us before you went to meet him. This is correct. No error here. You did not wait for us before you went to meet him. Now, isn't it? This is the erroneous part. This is what we call a question tag. These small little questions that tag along with a main sentence. These are called question tags. Question tags have to follow certain grammar rules. Okay. So I am focusing on question tags because in a couple of years, question tag questions have been asked in your management entrance exams. For instance, one such question was asked in ZAT. Okay. So here, when you have a question tag, if I say this is the subject, right? You did not wait. You did not wait. This is the verb, did not wait. So now the question tag has to first of all mention the subject again. It has to mention the subject again. And if the verb is negative here, it has to be positive here. Did you? You did not wait for us before you went to meet him. Did you? That should have come here. So we take the helping verb, we reverse it in the sense if it was negative, it will be positive here, and we repeat the subject. This is the rule that a question tag follows. Okay, so this part is absolutely fine that before you went to meet them you did not care to wait for us, right? And did you? So I am now asking in the sense I don't expect an answer, I am just emphasizing my point here. It's a rhetorical question as we call it, when you are just emphasizing your point. Okay, so I hope this is clear. This is question tag. Question tags follow this rule that the subject is repeated, the verb, the helping verb is changed, right? If it's negative, the positive one comes, and then a question mark is put. There are a lot more rules related to question tags that you will come across in, let's say, any standard grammar book, right? Okay. So this was about question tags. The previous one was about phrasal verbs. Let's have a look at this one. This is easy. Yes, fill in the blank. The harder you work, dash. Autocratic. Yes, yes, stroke. See, autocratic, tyrannical. See, tyranny means dictatorship, right? Dictatorship. Okay. So, tyrannical. If I say, you know, his boss is tyrannical, that means he's pretty dictatorial. He behaves as if he were a dictator. Okay. I just a second. No, I haven't spelled it right. Wait. Tyrannical. Yes. Okay. So his boss is tyrannical. Then autocratic again means the same. Autocracy is again a synonym of dictatorship. Auto means self. Crack means rule. So here this is not Swarajya or self-rule. No, it means that there is one single person who is ruling. One single person who has all the power. That is autocracy. So I can use autocratic also here. Autocratic also can be used here. Then we can actually use it for countries that are indeed dictatorships. So for instance, Hitler became an autocrat. He wasn't initially an autocrat, but he became an autocrat. Mussolini was an autocrat, a tyrant. Tyrant, autocrat, these are the nouns. Tyranny, autocracy will be their regimes, right? Their style of ruling will be called tyranny and autocracy, right? And tyrannical, autocratic are adjectives. So I hope now the usage is clear to you. Okay, all right. So C is what you say, the better. See, the harder, the better. So this is a structure that is preserved when we use comparatives. So comparative degree of adjectives. See, usually before comparative degree of adjectives, we do not, use the. It's with the superlative degree. The hardest. She works the hardest amongst her colleagues. So the harder you work, the better you get is an exception to that rule. That where we, with the comparative degree of adjective also, with the comparative degree also, we are using the. So the harder you work, the better you get at studies. Good. C is the answer here. Sorry. Register on All India Mock. Just a second. The registration link has been provided to you. Just a second. Let me also open and check. Okay. So I'll keep doing that while you keep attempting the questions and then I'll tell you. Okay. Now, what about this one? Next question. We have dash in our showroom. We have dash in our showroom. When you click on this link, see the link has been given in the chat box. Registration link for CatMock. BYJU'S exam prep CAT and MBA have posted it. When you click on this link, I am getting this option to register. Look on the right hand side. All India Open Mock CAT 2022 September 9 to 18. Okay, and there is an option to register. Time left to register is 11 hours 33 minutes. So yeah, you can register. I am getting that option. Okay. At studies, in studies. Both are correct. Just a second. Use it in a sentence for me, stroke. C-A-D. C-A-D. This is what I've got. See now. This is what I was expecting, that some of you will say C here and some will say D. And okay, that could be a tech issue, Anushka, if it's processing, uh, if it's loading. Yes, again and again. That could be a tech issue. Try in a while. I think after the session, try it once, right? I'll also try it. Okay, I'll try it during the session itself. But let's also solve questions alongside. So here, I expected this confusion between C and D, which is why I gave this question. We have dash in our showroom. So first of all, we just discussed that before the superlative degree of adjectives, the is mandatory. The best, the biggest, the slowest, the fastest, etc. A and B eliminated. Now, is it equipment or equipments? So see, this is what I meant by reading parts of speech thoroughly. When you read nouns, you will come across some nouns whose plural is the same. So when I say equipment, it refers to all the machinery that is present with a person. Right? So there is no plural of equipment as equipments. Equipment remains equipment. Just like the furniture in your house. If you buy one more sofa, does your furniture become furnitures? No, right? There is nothing like furniture. Furniture always remains furniture. So equipment, furniture, they remain the same even when you want to show that, okay, you're talking about a collection of things, right? So we have the best musical equipment in our showroom. D Delhi is our answer. Okay, all right. Now have a look at this one. This is an interesting concept. So Anushka, yes, definitely it's a tech issue. I think a temporary issue because I just registered and I have been registered. Okay. All right. Let's have a look at this. A sentence or an underlined part of the sentence has been expressed in 4 different ways. Choose the option which expresses the sentence correctly. Okay. Varun says C. Others? Anushka also says C. Yes. After this, we have some relatively lengthier and more complex questions because we want to prepare you for every exam out there. CAT, ZAT, IFT, all the exams out there, right? Okay. C is what you say. D. All right. All right. What else? Okay. So I've got just these 3 to 4 responses. I don't know why the others are not responding, but I'll begin the discussion now. Now, this question belongs to the category of conditionals. What kind of conditionals? Hypothetical conditionals, wherein you are imagining something. Okay, so when you say, had I worked harder, that means you did not work hard enough. Okay, so hypothetical conditionals talk about things that did not happen. You are now just imagining them, just thinking about them. So, how do they work? See this. Let's say uh, you have an exam. Okay, so you have an exam in the future, let's say, and you are just talking about the various possibilities before you. These are real possibilities. So if they are real possibilities, if they can happen, then they are not hypothetical conditionals. Okay, then it will not fall in this category, category C. So when I talk about real possibilities, if I work hard, I will succeed. If I work hard, I will succeed. It's a very real possibility. So here there's no problem. It follows all the rules of grammar, right? It's fine. But let's say your exam has already happened. The exam has already happened and the student did not score well. The student did not pass the exam. So now the student is thinking what he could have done differently, what she could have done differently. So now the student is imagining, what if I had worked harder back then? So this is that sort of a sentence. Had I worked harder, I would have passed the examination. अगर मैंने उस टाइम पे हार्ड वर्क करा होता तो मैंने एग्जाम पास कर लिया होता. Okay, and the structure will be had I, and would have. Instead of had I, you can also say if I had. That is also correct. If I had I, both are correct. And this means, and with the outcome clause, you always use would have. Would have. The implication of the sentence is that something happened in the past and this was untrue in the past. You did not work hard in the past. This was untrue in the past. Okay, this was untrue in the past. Now, how about the present? This is about the past. The exam happened in the past. Let's say currently you are not the PM of the country, isn't it? Currently you're not the PM. Presently you're not the PM of the country. So you are now thinking, what if you were the PM? So now you'll say, if I were the PM today, if I were the PM of the country today, I would implement some good policies. I would implement diverse policies. Now see the difference between C and what I've just written. Diverse policies. There I use the had and would have structure. Here I'm using the were and would structure. So were and would structure is used when something is untrue in the present. Something is untrue in the present. Were, would. And it's such a, it must come as a shock to some of you that with I'm using were. But that's how, when we talk about hypothetical situations, they bend the rules of tenses, right? So they don't follow the standard rule of tenses that was should come here. No, if I were the PM, I would implement diverse policies. So today I am not the PM. This is what it means. Had I worked harder, so the exam happened in the past, let's say last year. Had I worked harder back then, I would have passed the examination. Had, would have. Okay, if I work harder, the moment you put it in the present, that means you're talking about a real possibility, and would have cannot come in that case. Would have comes in hypothetical situations like this. If I had worked harder, now see, if you're using had, this should have, would have. So even A is rejected. D does not make sense at all. Unless you do not use the negative verb. Unless I work hard. Unless I work hard. So you can't say unless I didn't worked hard. Did not ke saath to worked is a cardinal sin. This is a cardinal sin. We did not, or did you use the base form of the verb? Never the past form of the verb. So multiple errors in B. So our answer here is C. Alright. Okay, perfect, Anushka. I hope this is clear why D is not the answer. Will and would, when do we use will? Actually, now again, this question is a deep question. I'll tell you the answer in a broad sense. See, will is it indicates the future, right? It indicates the future, right? When you think certain something is going to happen in the future, right? So a certainty or something is expected to happen in the future. For that you use will. Either it's a certainty or it is expected to happen in the future. For instance, I think it will rain today. So it's not a certainty, but it's expected, in my opinion. Right? Would on the other hand, when it talks about the future, first of all, it's primarily a past tense of will. Past tense of will. Okay. So in reported speech, for example, in reported speech, when I say, I need some space, he said, I will come. Now, when you report it to someone, you say, he said that he would come. So what are you doing? You're simply taking it to the past tense. He said that he would come. So first things first, it is the past tense of will. But would can be used in the present also. Would can be used in the future also. Would can be used in the future also. Okay. So for instance, if I say, would you please give me this? Would you please pass this to me? Right. Would you or could you, both are acceptable here when you're making a polite request. Would you please do this for me? Right. Then future tense. I think this would result in tensions between the two countries. This would result in tensions between the two countries. That means you're not quite sure. It reflects a degree of uncertainty on your part. You are unsure about it. This would. If you say this will, then you're pretty sure about it. So you see that would is very versatile. Actually, will and would both are modal verbs also. Apart from being your usual verbs, they are modal verbs also. So modal verbs have multiple uses. So will's standard basic uses as the future, okay, as a future verb, and would as the past tense of will. But would is very versatile. It can be used for the present situation also. It can be used for the future situation also. Right? If you want to look at their complete usage and you are interested in this, then first source could be the Oxford Dictionary. When you just type would meaning, the first entry that comes up. Okay, so go for a meaning from Oxford, or there is a website, grammar.ccc, Capital Community College. Okay, guide, or you can just type this link, guide to grammar.org, modal verbs. Guide to grammar.org, modal verbs. There you will find a very detailed account of all the modal verbs. Okay. I hope this is clear now, Priya. Difference between will and would. Okay. So, and I hope this is also clear. See, had I worked harder, I would have passed the examination. Would have, this usage is reserved for your hypothetical situations. Right? Okay. Now, find the best replacement for the underlined part. So, this is the underlined part. You have to find a replacement, the best replacement for it. Yes. Let's see what you say. This is again a previous year question. Back when Cat used to ask grammar questions. It belongs to that era. Let's see what you say. Okay. Varun says D Delhi. All right. Others? Priya, what do you say? Anushka, Apurva, Rutuja. Jumi says D. Priya says D. Anushka also says D. Stroke, what do you say? Anumay, what do you say? Let's see. Let's hear more responses. Videep. Okay. So far I've got D's. right? Let's have a look if D is the correct answer. First of all, the moment I say rose, she rose basically, rise. It's the past tense of rise. So rise automatically means to stand up, isn't it? So this up is not required. The up is not required. Moreover, when I say that in her opinion she thought, this is redundant, isn't it? In her opinion she thought. The moment I say she thought, that will be her opinion only, isn't it? So C is eliminated. Now between A and D, tell me which is better. Should be passed or should be passed on? Should be passed or should be passed on? That's the only difference between A and D. To pass on something, to pass on something is to, so for instance, she passed on her values to her children, right? So to pass something on is simply to forward it to someone, right? You can pass on some responsibilities also. You can pass on some values also. Basically, you are giving something to someone else, and it's usually used for, values that are handed over generations, or you can in fact be the rumor monger in your organization and pass on information that is given to you. So pass on simply means to give something to someone, and this something could be given to you by others, right? So our answer is A, okay, not D, Delhi. So she rose to say that she thought that the women's reservation bill should be passed. Okay, so I hope this is clear to everybody. A is the answer. Okay, now you must be thinking that here that is missing. She thought that. Actually, sometimes in our conversations, we tend to miss this that. Very strictly speaking, we should put this that, but now it has become a sort of a practice that sometimes we tend to miss this that is explaining something. She thought what when I'm explaining that. So we simply start with the explanation rather than putting the that here. Okay. So A is the answer here. Good. Those who said A. And let's see this one. Identify the incorrect sentence or sentences. You have four options. Let's see what you say. Okay, so I've got A, I've got B. All right. A and B. What else? So option A and option B. This is how I'm interpreting this. Uh, it was a tough situation and Mansi was taking pains to make it better. What is wrong with this? To take pains means to make efforts. This is fine. It was a tough situation and Mansi was taking pains to make it better. She was trying to make it better. She was making efforts to make it better. A is fine. No error. So actually A and D are eliminated. Now, slowly, her efforts gave fruit. Our efforts give fruits. Our efforts give fruit. Is this a correct expression? Our efforts bear fruits. Okay, bear fruit in fact, not fruits. Fruits is used when there are different types of fruit, right? So apples, oranges, when I have such a collection, such different types, then I'll say fruits. Otherwise, if I bought 1 kg apples today, it will be called a fruit. Okay. Even if I have many apples there, it will still be called a fruit only. So our efforts bear fruit. And that's why B is erroneous. That's why C is our answer. Let's have a look at sentence C. Everyone, yes. So this one will be bore fruit because this is in the past tense. You're absolutely correct, Anushka. Slowly her efforts bore fruit. Okay. Past tense of bear. Everyone complimented her for her good work. Complimented. Is this complimented correct here? Complement with an E means to complete, like complementary angles in mathematics. The one with an I means to praise. So everyone praised her for her good work. So this is the complemented spelling that I need. C. Okay. So B and C are erroneous here. Right? So you can be asked such questions also where four different sentences are given to you and you have to identify the incorrect ones. It may not always be just fragments of one sentence only. Right? Let's have a look at this. Now here the five sentences, these are five separate sentences and they form a paragraph. Collectively they form a paragraph. Identify the sentence or parts of sentence that is or are correct. Now see, reading the instructions is very, very important. You have to find out the correct ones in terms of grammar and usage. Then choose the most appropriate option. So you have to tell me which are correct. But this is not just spelling correction actually. Complement. This is not an incorrect spelling. It would be called spelling correction when, let's say, this were incorrect spelling, but this is a correct spelling. Actually, it is word usage. Which word fits here? So it's this word that fits here. So it is strictly speaking a part of vocabulary, common confusables. These two words are confused very often. So yes, you can be asked common confusables, vocabulary questions like this. You can be asked them. Okay. You can be asked these questions. So Varun has already answered D. All right. Just give me a second. I need to plug in my charger. I somehow forgot it. So Varun says A and C. What do the others say? Last question for the day. I want enthusiastic responses from all of you. Last question. After this, we are wrapping up. With this, I have shown you various question types. Fill in the blanks, error spotting, correct way of writing a sentence, phrase replacement. And this is where, the sentences form a paragraph. And you have to identify the correct ones. Flagrant versus fragrant stroke. Is that what you're trying to say? Common confusables? Yes, they are common confusables. Flagrant is burning. Fragrant is something that gives out good fragrance. Now, what do the others say? Govind says C. Okay. So I've got one C, one D. So good that both of you say that A is correct. A is indeed correct. You are absolutely right. So we have to find out whether C is correct or D is correct. Now, this is where, your subject verb agreement comes into the picture. In subject verb agreement, when you study it, you will study a rule. Many with a plural noun. So let's say many girls versus many a girl. Many a girl. Many times versus many a time. It should be many a time, not many a times. Many a time. Right? Both mean absolutely the same. So many girls want education. Many girls want education. This is correct. Many a girl wants education. This is also correct. Both mean the same. But you see the implication for grammar. When I said many girls, I said want education. When I said many a girl, even though the meaning is absolutely the same as many girls, but I will use wants because it's this has come into the picture. So many an offending chemical has now been banned. Many an offending chemical has now been banned. C is the erroneous one. Sorry, C is the erroneous one. So A and D. Option C will be the answer here. A and D, option C. Good. Spoon of flavors. Good, Anushka. So option C, D is fine. It will still take several decades before these substances have disappeared from the atmosphere. Okay, have disappeared is also fine here. Disappear is also fine here. The focus is slightly different. When you say have disappeared, you're focusing on the fact that okay, now this stands completed. Completely disappear, हो चुके हैं, that is have disappeared. Right. So both are correct here. Disappear also, have disappeared also. No error in B. The error is here in C. Right. So B, what is the error? Yes. Making them to break apart. Two is not required. No, making, either I should say making them break apart or I should say causing them to break apart. Right. Causing them to break apart or making them break apart. Making them to break apart is incorrect. So B and C are erroneous. A and D is the answer here. Many a girl. Yes. Both, see, stroke, in terms of implication, there also I'm talking about a number of girls, many girls, plural girls. And when I say many a girl, same thing. I'm talking about a number of girls. So in terms of implication, it's absolutely the same. But in terms of grammar, in terms of the structure that I'm going to use, here I'll use a plural verb, here I'll use a singular verb. There the difference comes. Right. So I hope this is clear to everybody. This was a slightly more complex question, right? And we had to read all the sentences very carefully and identify the correct ones. This, on the other hand, there were 4 separate sentences and this wasn't as dense as this one. Okay. So with this, I hope you now are exposed to the various question types that you can be asked. You now understand the importance of grammar in CAT and non-CAT exams. How about, let's say, going beyond our entrance exams? Grammar helps you in improving your language, right? I don't think anybody will disagree with this, right? Also, it will help you become a better speaker and listener for your personal interviews, for your stage 2, once you clear your exams. And it will help you become a better writer for your WATs, your writing ability tests, again stage 2. So grammar will come in very, very handy for your stage 2 and for your life. Therefore, I suggest that you practice grammar questions on a regular basis. In case you're preparing for NMAT and SNAP particularly, then I've given you separate strategies. In 2 separate sessions, I've given you separate strategies. I've given you at what intervals to practice grammar questions, from which sources to practice grammar questions. So you can watch those sessions, particularly for these exams. Okay, welcome all of you, and do take this mock, this All India mock. This is our comprehensive CAT program, right? You know the details. And in case you want to enroll, you can call up our counselors for details. And I hope you liked the session. If you did, then please press the like button. That will mean a lot to us. And it will be a sort of feedback for this session. Also, you can follow us on various social media platforms. Okay, and we can stay connected via this group, BYJU'S MBA Doubts. No, Varun. GMAT's level is relatively higher. Plus, GMAT is much more structured. So there you get sentence correction. They are very specific. They are very specific. They're not going to ask you any other question type. They ask sentence correction. Okay. So whatever grammar the concepts they want to test, they test through this one question type. And of course, the level is much higher as compared to SNAP. Okay. Welcome all of you. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.